When you're powerless, trying harder is a trap because the actual problem is not effort, it's the leverage missing from your map. Listen to this story, then you'll discover the key move to make to gain leverage. When Louis XI of France, who was fond of astrology, began to believe that his court astrologer could predict the future, he began to fear the man's power might overtake his own. One day, the court astrologer prophesied that a lady of Louis's court would die tragically within 8 days. Since the lady was young and healthy and perfectly safe, the king laughed off the prediction without much thought. But when the lady suddenly died on exactly the 8th day, the deeply suspicious Louis began to panic. He imagined the astrologer's power had grown too great and that he must be killed. The next day, he summoned the man to his apartments in the highest tower of the castle, where he planned to have his knights, on his signal, throw the man out one of the windows. The astrologer was suspicious of the summons, but what could he do? He could not refuse the king. There was no place to escape, so he obeyed and hoped for the best. When he arrived, Louis could not resist the temptation for a final prophecy, so he asked the astrologer, "You claim that you can foresee the fate of others, so tell me now, what is your fate and how long you shall live?" The astrologer, struck by the presence of 2 armed knights, quickly surmised that his own life was indeed in jeopardy. What should he do? What could he do? Suddenly it hit him. "Sire," he answered, "I shall die just 3 days before your majesty." With that one clever stroke, King Louis's court astrologer not only saved his own life, the notoriously superstitious king would now take extra steps to ensure that this man would live a long and healthy life, believing that he would thereby prolong his own. King Louis protected his astrologer throughout his life, showering him with gifts and providing the best care from the top doctors. In the end, Louis died years before the astrologer, disproving his power of prophecy, but proving his mastery of power. What made this maneuver so cunning is that the court astrologer appeared powerless. He knew he needed leverage, but to find leverage, he first had to switch frames, because there was no leverage in seeing himself as a helpless victim. There was no leverage in attempting to escape, but there was leverage in the king's self-interest and in his superstition. By reframing his welfare as being in the best interest of the king, the astrologer saved his own life. Bottom line, rather than meeting force with force in a frame you cannot win, find leverage by switching frames and creating a new narrative within. Follow to learn more about the power of strategy to make your dream a reality.